Hi, welcome to Vegetables, day 107. So a couple days ago, I threw out there some ideas about having each day of the week on my channel being a certain subject or theme. And for Saturdays, I had put shout out Saturdays, and I really wasn't comfortable with that. So what I came up with is Spotlight Saturdays, where I spotlight or put the spotlight on something. It could be anywhere from a particular health topic. It could be anywhere from current events, which probably won't be a lot just because, I'm not going to get political. But, maybe some health topics or, caring for a loved one, health insurance, or, maybe there is a particular channel that I might want to talk about, and I could put the spotlight on that. So it'll be Spotlight Saturdays. And today's spotlight is something that I wish I would have known and researched years ago. Because when I went through if I would have had these tips when I went through this part of my life, it would have been a lot less stressful. And this is the 5 tips to making the transition of care transfer from a loved one to yourself. Now, the loved one could be, another relative, or it could be, a parent. It could be, that say one, a sibling is taking care of a parent, and the sibling's, not able to do a very good job of it, and so you need to step in and say, hey, something's not right. So these are my 5 tips of making that transition. And if I had known that, it would have made my transition of taking over the care of my mother a lot easier. That spring and summer when I did the transition was extremely stressful for me. And the end of the summer, I ended up having a stent placed in my heart. Not for sure how much of a role the stress played, but it definitely would not have helped at all. Okay, so tip number 1. Start spending a ton more one-on-one time with your loved one. Visit them a lot more frequently. And the reason I said that is because I used to talk to my mom on the phone every single day. But it was not until I started spending time in person with her that I realized how quickly she was declining. I could not see the health issues that she was having, and so I was not able to step in sooner. I wish I would have stepped in sooner. Which brings me to tip number 2. Start asking financial questions as early as possible. Now, I know that many of your parents, they don't want to tell you their business. I understand that. My dad does not tell me anything. And he's got the attitude, well, it's my money, my business. But I wish I would have stepped in sooner for my mom, because there were some purchases that she made because her health was, her mental health was well, not mental health, because her cognition and understanding, she has mild dementia, but because of the dementia, she was making decisions that weren't very good decisions. Just to give you an example, how do I give an example without giving too much information? Okay, she had a credit card. She had purchased identity theft protection through an identity theft company. But then somehow, some way, she had purchased a second identity theft protection and was putting it on a credit card. Had it automatically deducted every month. But then she was only paying the minimum payment on the credit card. Well, the minimum payment on the credit card was less than the interest plus this automatic payment. And so every month she was getting farther and farther and farther and farther behind for this extra service that she didn't even need. And I know that it's because she didn't have the ability to understand what she was doing anymore. She thought she was doing a good thing because she had this identity theft protection. She didn't think about the fact that it was dual coverage, so paying for something, extra she didn't need. And she also didn't understand that she was paying, by paying this with this credit card instead of having it go towards her, debit card or checking account. She didn't understand. She was just putting herself more and more and more into debt. The other issue I'm running into right now is that she doesn't understand the difference between a debit card and credit card. And, she's got the attitude that, oh, we'll just put it on the charge. Because that's what she's always done her whole entire life. So getting to know finances as early as possible is critical, because hopefully you can prevent a lot of the headaches that I had to deal with once I did take over the finances. Tip number 3, ask early in life, or as early as possible, to be allowed to accompany your loved one on doctor's visits. I didn't know to do that until I started spending time with her and realized that she was a little farther along in her dementia than I had realized. Which, if I'd been spending time with her, I would have done that, and I would have stepped in a lot sooner. So ask early to be allowed to go to the doctor's appointments, because the other thing that you can do is ensure that they're getting the care that they need. You can, if you observe something that your loved one doesn't realize is happening or occurring, you can, step in and let the doctor know. And it'll help the doctor better take care of them. Tip number 4. Research alternate living arrangements before the need arises. And this gets tied in with the finances, because your loved one may never need to go into another living situation or have another living arrangement. You or a sibling or a friend or somebody, may be able to continue to live with your loved one and take care of them. That might work. But you never know when the need is going to arise, that that person is not able to take care of them anymore. And so knowing and being ready for alternative living arrangements will help when the need if the need arises, will help save you a lot of headaches and stress. Because that goes back to the whole financial situation as well. And the reason for that is because with long-term care, if your loved one doesn't have a lot of financial resources, then your loved one may need to utilize Medicaid coverage, which Medicaid is income-based. And then they have a 5-year look back to see, how many assets there are and whether any of those assets transferred at less than market value. So did they give your, did they inherit $100,000 and did they give that $100,000 to charity? That kind of stuff. Or give that $100,000 to the neighbor's dog. I know it's a little extreme, but you get my point. Because decisions like that can affect the eligibility for Medicaid. And if nurses and even assisted living facilities can get very expensive. Their least expensive one I know of is probably around, depending on the area of the country, $4,000 to $6,000, upwards of $10,000 and $12,000 a month, a whole month. And there's some good videos about, and I'll see if I can find when I was looking. There's a lawyer out there that has a big long video about, preparing and planning for long-term care coverage and Medicaid and how to protect assets and that. So that's why researching alternative living arrangements, because your loved one might have enough money, monthly income, if you get to the right facility, might have enough monthly income to cover living there and not have to worry about Medicaid. Because if they don't have the money and they don't have Medicaid, then what do you do? What does the family do? They have to struggle and try to keep taking care of the loved one, and it's not always the best thing for your loved one or your family member or yourself. I know for me, because of my illnesses, I cannot do it. I just can't. I would love to. I would much rather have my mom living in her home and me be able to stay with her and take care of her, or have someone stay with her and take care of her, but it's just not possible. So she is in assisted living. She loves it though. And then tip number 5. Spend time decluttering their home. Once my mom moved out, let me put this down. Once my mom moved out of her home, and I went in there trying to get things cleaned out, I was quite honestly very overwhelmed, because she had accumulated so much stuff over the years and had not taken care of so many things that I ended up having 2 dumpsters full of stuff to get rid of. And that was even after I had donated quite a bit. Part of what I had to do is, I had to renovate her, well, not renovate, but remodel her house, because it had been so long since it had been done that there was no salvaging, the, like the carpet or the linoleum or the, mostly carpet, and it had mostly the carpeting, and the whole house had to be painted. So by helping them declutter ahead of time and getting things organized, if you do need to go in and paint the house or do any kind of renovation after your loved one, moves or passes away, it won't take near the amount of time and near the amount of money, because I think just on the dumpster itself I spent like somewhere between $300 and $500 just for the dumpsters. And if you're able to, while you're doing this decluttering, if you're able to spread the cost out, and okay, so you have a spare bedroom they're not using, let's go ahead and, paint the walls. Let's get a fresh coat of paint in all the rooms if you can. So, that's my tips. I'm sure there's a few more that I could think of, but those are at least my top 5 things that I wish I would have done sooner. I wish I would have known what her finances were like. And finances includes bank accounts, investments, debts, just knowing where your loved one is at financially, so that if there is a little bit of a mess, you can step in and get it straightened out before something more serious happens. Yeah. So the other thing is, I wish I would have spent more one-on-one time with her. Not just talking to her over the phone. I mean, I knew that she had difficulty with hearing, but I didn't realize that part of her difficulty with hearing was because there's, a disconnect between what she hears and what her brain thinks she hears. And that, again, that's the dementia. Part of the hearing and understanding is a processing issue. And so if I would have stepped in sooner, then certain decisions that she made financially, which, she was okay. It ended up being okay for her, so she's not in dire straits. But I could have saved her a boatload of money. A boatload. So, those are the 2 big things for me. But also, like I said, the decluttering, it's just so overwhelming. And, it's so the decluttering issue was such an overwhelming issue for me that I have slowly but surely begun doing that for myself. So that if and when I have to move, or my kids have to take over for me, they won't have as much of an issue and a problem as I did with her. Well, that's the video for today. I hope that you find it helpful. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you know when I upload the video every day. And I really would appreciate, and I say comment, please comment. I would like to know what you're thinking and what your ideas are, and let me know if some of these tips help you. And then when I say hit the thumbs up button, because that really does help promote the channel, and then the notification bell so you know when I upload the video every day. But in the meantime, I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.